friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Sharon from Mad Paper Crush, and I am here today to go over a little freebie that I have for you because I feel like it's been a minute since I had a freebie available, and I wanted to give you a freebie because I wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for following me on this journey, for watching my videos, and for commenting on my videos. It really means the world to me, and I love the connections that I've made with people through doing this art. So I wanted to give you a little freebie. So here is the freebie. I'm going to walk you through the pages, and then I will tell you how to get it. And it's an Easter freebie, so it's just like a mini kit that you could make a journal with, or, you know, a little folio or something like that, which I'm going to do with this kit, and I will go through that as well. But let's just take a look at the pages first. So I've printed them front and back side. So there's 8 journal pages. So this is one, and I tried to incorporate some Easter graphics and Easter text, like some music pages and things like that. And I really love sort of how grungy these are, in contrast with some of these beautiful graphics. So I thought they were really fun. This is another page here. This one kind of looks like 2 separate pages. I have some more music pages that are kind of grunged up in the background here, and some other papers there. And then here is one of the blank pages that I have, so that if you wanted to do some journaling, you could do that on this page. And then here is another journal page that I have, and I wanted to incorporate the colors scheme here is like oranges and yellows and golds and greens and purples and things like that were kind of springy, but also reminded me of the reason for the season. So, so that's kind of why I've got the color scheme going on that I do there. And then here is another page. This one has, you can see some music pages up here. There's a piece of a little vintage postcard there, and some little crocus flowers, I think they are, down here. I just love how, like I said, these pages are nice and grunged up with all kinds of fun stuff on them. So I thought this little lamb was cute holding the basket there. More sort of title pages with Easter wording on there. And then here's another blank one I have. This one is more of a grid background, but you could still use that to write on if you wanted to write something on there. And then this side, this is the last journal page. So this one, you know, you can see what I have here. So they all kind of match and go together, but those are all of the journal pages in the kit. And then I have some ephemera pages as well. So there's 3 ephemera pages, and I have a little seed packet here that you could use, a tag that you could cut out and use. And because I had some room, I just thought I would make sort of some washi tape type strips at the bottom there that you could cut out and tear up and use in your journal, or put in, you know, maybe as a belly band, or who knows, use your imagination, go crazy. And then this page has note cards on it, and I kind of did them postcard style. I have 2 that are sort of vertical, and then 2 that are actually these 2 are horizontal, these 2 are vertical. That's what I mean. So they go different ways. So depending on, you know, you might use this for a pocket if you wanted to. You could use one of these as a tuck spot if you wanted to, or you could back them and use them as note cards. And then the last page here has some specimen slides on them. I know I love specimen slides, and I just thought these were really fun to make. So you can cut out a whole piece here and then just fold it in half, and it becomes a specimen card. If you wanted to cut out these center squares and, you know, put some vellum or, you know, plastic in there to kind of make your own specimen card, you could absolutely do that. I just wanted to have something in case you didn't have something you wanted to make it with, or, you know, didn't feel like putting that together. So each of these you can just cut out and fold over, and then they look like you know, double-sided specimen card ready to go to pop into your journal or make into a pocket or something like that. And then this one is just, it's another tag, but it's just a smaller tag that I have there. And then I have another, I had some space at the bottom, so I just kind of made a thicker sort of washi tape strip there on the bottom. So this is the freebie for you for Easter, making some Easter fun journals or folios or things like that, which we're going to jump into in just a minute. If you would like to have this freebie, you can go to madpapercrush.com/restored, or you can go down to the notes, the description down below this video, and the link will be there as well. So let's go make something with this restored Easter freebie. All right, so before we make this, I just wanted to do a little flip through for you. So you can see we have this little flip out folio that I'm calling it here. And I have used eyelets to close it with some seam binding. And we have our cover here, and we have this pocket that has all sorts of goodies in it, and even a couple of little hidden pockets on the side here. Oops. Another note card right in there. And then we have this wonderful flip out pages that I can barely even show on the camera. So there's a nice pocket in the back here, and as you fold down, there are little side pockets to slide things into. And then we also have a little tuck spot here that I don't have anything in yet, but certainly there's plenty of room for you to add things into. And on this side of the little tuck spot, I have our little seed envelope here. And then as you flip it over, there's lots of places to write on this side as well. So there you have it, our Easter flip out folio. So let's go ahead and make this. All right, so let's get started to make this fun little Easter folio. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with my cover paper. And now this one I did double side print, and I double-sided print onto a cardstock, just a light cardstock, but that'll be good for my cover. So the first thing I want to do is I need to cut this down to fit the size that I want this to be. So if I was using, any designed paper, I know I need to take off 1 3/4 of an inch from the length of this. So to do that, because I don't want to just cut off 1 3/4 inch and maybe cut into some of the design, I'm going to take a little off of each side. So for this side, I have about 1/2 inch that I'm going to try to cut off over here. So that's 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to try to cut off just 1/2 inch on this side. And I kind of, tried to work this out before I'm talking to you so that I'm not sitting here figuring it out while we're on camera here. But so if I took off 1/2 inch over there, then I have to take off 1 1/4 inch off of this side. And I'm going to do it this way because it's easier for me to measure looking from this side. So this is 1 1/4 inch right here. And so it's going to take off a little bit of this design, but I'm going to keep my flower, which is really the main thing that I wanted to keep there. Okay, so I'll keep these strips because maybe I can use them for something else as we go here. Now I'm just going to grab my embossing tool here, or I forget what you call this. I can never remember when I'm on camera. And since I want this to be the outside of my cover, I'm going to flip it over and crease it on the inside. It's a scoreboard. That's what it is. I'm going to grab my scoreboard. Okay. And then I'm putting my cover, the outside up. So this is the side that I want to be on the outside of my cover. And I'm going to mark this at 4.5 inches here. And then I'm just going to mark 1/4 inch past that at 4 3/4 inches to give myself just a little bit of a spine there. So 4.5 and 4 3/4 we're going to score. And then when I put my scoreboard down, now that I remembered the name of it, I'm just going to fold on those lines so that I know where, my spine is. And then this should be, once I get these folded, this should be like an even little booklet there. So that is where we want to start. Okay, next we're going to make the inside pocket. So I'm going to put my cover aside for a minute here while we do the inside pocket. And since I'm going to be folding this, I am going to use my scoreboard again, but I do have to cut some off of this as well. So just so you know, I have another piece of paper that I've double-sided printed, and this one's on light paper. This is just on presentation paper. So it's a little bit heavier than printer paper, but definitely less heavy than cardstock. So that's where we're at here. So before I get started on this, I do need to cut off a little bit of this. And since we're going to do this a little bit smaller than the 4.5, we're going to do this at about 4.25 inch. So 8.5, I want to cut this down to about 8.5 plus 1/2 inch. So 9 inches wide. And actually, I don't know if it really matters which side I do here. I think I may take off this. So we're cutting off 2 inches from our paper here. And this, I'm going to cut off, since I'm going to cut off most of this flower, I figure I'll cut it off here. And then if I want to use this for something, I have that I can use for. Okay, so we have 9 inches wide on this one then. And then what I need to do for this one is I need to score it at 8.5. So that's going to be my little 1/2 inch flap, if I can hold it here. And then I'm also going to mark it at 4.25, because that's going to be kind of our center mark there. Okay. So let's fold on those lines. And we're making this, because we're going to make this kind of a multi-pocket, we're going to have all sorts of, we're making this a tube to give all of those pockets in there. So I'm just going to cut off the corners so that when I fold it in and glue it, it won't show too much there. Actually, I think I'm going to use my glue stick for this. And I'm just going to make sure I glue on the 1/2 inch flap that I made there. And then we're going to turn it so that it's on the inside of my little tube here. So you don't see shouldn't see the crease. I can get this folded down, maybe. Okay. All right, once the glue is dry on our little tube here, then you're going to decide which side you want to show, which side you want to be, up. And I mean, both of these I think are lovely. But I think I'm going to do it this way. Now, I will have some of my words being upside down, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. We'll maybe cover that later or something like that. So, and now that I'm looking at it, let me just kind of go like that and see which way I like better. And since the egg is, kind of not showing that it's even a full egg, it doesn't really matter, I don't think, which side we have up here. And maybe I will put this side up. And now, as in terms of length, the only thing I want to make sure when I fold this is that it is long enough to hold one of my note cards. So my note cards for the kit are 5 inches tall. So I need to fold this at more than 5 inches to be sure that it'll fit in there. So let's see, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, if I fold it at about 5.5 inches, that should give me enough leeway on both sides for one of those to fit in there. So I'm just going to grab my folding tool, my bone folder here, to make sure I have a nice crease there. Okay. And then the other thing that I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add some little notches in here. And I'm only going to do it to one side. I'm going to kind of just eyeball the center. And then hopefully I will have something similar up here, and you won't notice that they're off from one another, which I probably will. But hopefully that's close enough. Okay, so here is our inside pocket. that's ready to go for, we're going to put this right on the inside of our journal here. And before I glue that down, I think I'm going to get my inside pages ready to go, and then we'll kind of put it all together and do some decorating. Okay, for my inside pages, I am just going to use 3 more of the printed pages. Once again, printed double side. And I did kind of want to have some area, you know, to write on. So these 2 are printed with nothing on the other side. This one does have something on the other side. So just so there will be some, you'll be able to, you know, write in this if you want to. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, once again, I'm going to grab my scoreboard. And for each of these, and they're going to be exactly the same, we're going to just score them once at 9 inches. So we have like a little 2-inch flap. Okay. And these little 2-inch side pieces will end up being our pockets and our sort of fold out piece. Okay. Now we are going to be folding these in half, but I'm going to start here by kind of folding these each over. So I know now I'm down to 9 inches long. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these in half on top of that. And one more like that. Okay, we're going to start putting together our inside accordion flip out pages. And so I have my 3 pages that I folded all alike. And all we're going to do that is we're going to add a little bit of glue. Well, first thing you need to decide is which page you want to go on the bottom, because this flap will be glued down to the cover. So I've chosen this page to be the one that I'm going to glue down. So this is going to be my first page, and everything's going to attach along to this one. So what you need to do is you need to take that first page and fold it in half, open up your flap, and we're just going to add glue to the bottom part of the flap here, the top part of the flap. This is going to make our pocket, but then we're also going to take a little bead of glue and put it right on the right hand side of that fold so that our pocket will be closed when we add the next paper. So this paper is going to go, our second page is going to go right on top of that up to the fold. And I'm going to try to make sure it's all the way on the fold. And then we'll give this a second to set up, but that's how we're going to add our next pages too. So then I'm just going to fold this one over, open up my flap, add my 3 little lines of glue, 1 to the bottom, a little bit to the top, and then just a little tiny bead on the right hand side of that fold. And then once again, it's easier for me if I turn it this way so I can kind of see what I'm doing. We're going to add that one in and fold this over to make our little pocket. I'm going to hold that in place for just a minute. Make sure nothing here is gluing together. All right, and then let's give this whole packet a little bit of time to dry. All right, before we start gluing everything in, I want to put my closure on my journal. And I'm going to use that little piece of cover that we cut off to do that, because I want to reinforce. I'm going to use eyelets, and this is cardstock, which I could probably just put the eyelets in here, but I think I want to reinforce it just a little bit so that, you know, I don't have to worry about tearing or something like that. So I'm going to take that little piece that we cut off the one side. This is the one that was like 1 1/4 inches wide. And I'm just going to cut it approximately in half. I'm not going to be too crazy about this because it'll be mostly hidden, especially since I'm using the pattern paper, you know, from this paper. And then what I'm going to do, the height should be exactly right here from what the the height of the booklet is. So I'm just going to take these 2 strips that I just cut, and I'm going to glue them right to the corner of each of the sides here, because that's where my eyelets are going to go. So I'm just going to hold it like this. Let's see what we can do here. I don't want to get it too messy, but I'm pretty messy. So let me grab my scrap paper so I don't get glue all over here. Just to be sure that I'm getting it to the edges, I am going to use my finger to kind of spread this out so that it is on all corners. And then hopefully that spreading it around too will have made it so it's not going to ooze out all over the place. All right, and so just going to line that up as best I can right on that edge, and then we'll do the same thing for this one. All right, once my reinforcement strips are dry here, I'm going to mark where I want my eyelet to be, and I do want it to be in the center. So I know this is, let's see, 8.5 inches tall. So that means I need to mark it at 4 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So about right here. And then I'm going to mark the back too. I was going to punch them together, but I think that might throw me off because of the thickness. So I'm going to punch them separate, and so I marked them both at 4 1/4. And these are the bigger eyelets. So these are like the 3/8 inch eyelets that I'm going to use. And I decided I grabbed a couple gold ones there, because I thought that sort of matched some of the colors on here. And then I'm going to punch my hole with my big bite. No, this isn't the big bite. This is just the crocodile. And probably need to just kind of make sure I'm sort of centered. I wanted to give myself some room for the rim of the eyelet to sit on here. So I think that'll work. And then all I'm going to do is take one of my eyelets and crimp it down into here. So all right, make sure that looks pretty good, and then we'll do the other one, same thing. There we go. And I wanted to do this because once I put some strings in here, we're going to be probably gluing on top. So like our middle pages, when we put them in, they're going to cover up my eyelet. And I wanted to be sure I had my eyelets ready, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go grab some string that we're going to use for this, and then we'll put those in there. Okay, I decided to use my seam binding for this closure. I haven't used this in a while. So what I need to do is I need to be sure that I'm going to put it through one. So I'm starting on the inside of my cover, and I'm going to put this through, and I'm going to leave a pretty long end. I can always cut it down later if I need to. And then I'm going to be sure that when I cut it, I'm leaving another nice long end so that I can, tie it. So I'm sure this is way too long, but I would rather be it long than have it not be long enough. Okay, let's see if we can untwist it. So I decided to use the seam binding because it's relatively flat, and I can put it behind our other things to make them work. So this, when we put it through here, we do want it to lay flat as possible, like that. And then we have our nice long ends. It looks like I could probably pull this through just a little. I'm trying to make them relatively even for now. Actually, I'd probably even want the back one to be my longest one here. Okay. All right, once I have that figured out, all right, they're about even, so that's good, and they look nice and long. And if you're wondering, this is about, let's see, 12 inches plus 18, about 19 inches on each side. So if you double that and add our 9 inches here, I don't know what you have, but that's how long you would want to make it. So, and once again, I'll probably be cutting some of this off once I get it tied, but I don't want to do that right now. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do before I glue anything else down is I am going to go ahead and glue my seam binding down to the back here, just so it is held in place and I don't have to worry about it kind of reaching around and maybe not going where I want it to go. So I'm putting a little glue underneath and I'm just going to spread it out. I didn't go over the spine, but you certainly could. And now obviously you want to be sure you're pulling your seam binding taut, not over tight, because you want this to be able to fold without a problem. Okay, and so now our closure is all ready to go. So when we put everything else in, we won't have to worry about how we're going to thread those eyelets that were in there. Okay, so now we have our 2 inside pieces, and I'm going to put down my pocket first on the left-hand side. And I want to be sure obviously I don't, hit the spine fold there. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball where it needs to be just so I have an idea. And I can see this little line on the background paper is probably pretty close. And that's just, it looks like it's just about centered on this side of the page. So I'm going to go with that. And actually, before we do that, we do need to fix our pockets on here to make it our bunches of pockets. Okay, so what I want this to do is I want this to be a little pocket on this side. So to do that, I'm going to leave this part open and I'm going to glue the other 2 edges. So the top edge and this back edge, we're going to glue down to make it a pocket there. And then when we glue it to the page, we're also going to make a nice big pocket so that we can put a note card in there. So I'm trying to, my glue is oozing out a little bit, so I'm just going to make sure that doesn't glue everything closed, which is, always my possibility. Okay, so then to glue this down, I want to leave this whole edge open because that's going to be my pocket. So what I like to do is I like to hold the edge that I'm not gluing so I know where the other 3 sides are going to go, and my glue is trying to escape from the top of the bottle, and that's what happens when you get kind of low. All right, so now I have those 3 sides glued down. And I'm going to find that little line that I was going to line it up with. And I'm going to hold that down until my pocket is dry over here. All right, and now we're going to glue in our little accordion book block over on this side. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to put my glue on my pages. So I'm just going to add, and you could do this with double-sided tape too if you had that. I don't know. I'm not sure which one I like better. Sometimes double-sided tape is nice because you don't have to worry about the glue oozing out. But double-sided tape can sometimes be tedious to use if you're like me and can't get the top tape off of the tape. If you know what I mean. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up with my seam again and hopefully not go over it. I need to double check that. I want to probably get it close to that side, and I'm going to open this up just so I can kind of massage everything down. So you can see here, I did have a little glue escaping. I'm just going to glue this down as best I can. Make sure it's all nice and glued. And I probably should have put a little additional glue by the eyelet to make sure that it was glued down, but we'll go in there once it's glued down and try to get that glued down just a little bit more. All right. So once that's done, you can see we can tie this up as our closure, and we have our folio really coming together now. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the insides to get everything put together. So I'm going to go and cut out all of my ephemera so that we can see where everything's going to go. Okay, as I was cutting things out, I'm getting all my ephemera cut out, and I just kind of wanted to tell you what I was doing in case you had questions about things. So like, I could have printed something on the back of these, but I didn't. And so I just added some distress ink to them so that like this is going to be, a little envelope pocket or a little seed pack pocket. And when you open it up, you'll be able to see, and I didn't want it to be all white. So for a lot of these, I went ahead and just added some distress on the back just to, knock the white off. And then for these also, I did round the corners, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then I just wanted to show you kind of how to use these specimen tabs in case you weren't sure. And what I've done so far is I did add my distress to the back. I just cut them out in a full rectangle, and I'm going to score them down the middle so that I can fold them. Now, you can, cut out the corners if you want to, but I just figured I would use my corner rounder. I thought that would be easier. So basically what I'm doing right now is I'm lining up the center line on my scoreboard here to do my scoring. And so I'm just going to do that so that I can, and you don't have to put the distress on the back of these. I didn't know the words were not coming. If you want to glue them, fully together, if you wanted to make these little pockets or something like that, you don't have to do that. Okay, so once you do that, then now I do see that probably I didn't quite have them lined up on the middle correctly, or when I cut them out, I cut off a little of the edge. So I'm just going to make sure these line up. So I'm going to take my scissors, and if there are any that didn't fold exactly down the middle, I am just going to kind of cut that little piece off so that I don't have to worry about that. This one, I think, oh, nope, it's on that side. And you could just fold these in half, but I wanted to do it on the scoreboard. And this one looks like I might have even gone crooked here. So that my corners, when I round them, are in the right place. So now I'm just going to take my corner rounder, and I'm going to use my smallest corner round. Whoops, try not to bend your paper like I just did. And I'm going to go in on each of the corners and round them while it's folded, so that everything matches up. So then I could, if I wanted to, I could just glue, the bottom and the side here to have like a little top pocket as a specimen here, or even on the side, or you could just glue them totally together. That did not work, did it? So that they just look like full specimen cards. So you could even, if you were going to glue these down, you could cut them in half and use them like for tuck spots or something like that in your journal as well. So these little guys are pretty flexible in terms of what you can do with them. Okay, I have most of my ephemera cut out and ready to go. So I thought we could start working on the cover. And I was thinking about how I wanted to do the cover. Now, the back has a nice, fun design on there already. And this one has some things on it, but I thought it would be fun to add something to it. And as I was looking at this postcard here, I thought it would be fun to use this as sort of my centerpiece for the front of the journal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down a little bit. Now, I have already like rounded the corners and done all that fun stuff, but we're gonna kind of do this again. And now I didn't look at how far I'm cutting things off, but I want to cut this kind of close to the egg here, to this little design. Because then I thought I just grabbed some scrap cardstock that I have, and this purple I think matches a little bit on some of these things here. Whoops. But I thought it would be fun to kind of just line this a little and put this on the front here. And actually, looks like that's pretty good when I'm looking at it. So I'm going to round the corners again, and I think I'm going to just use this small corner rounder, and I might cut that purple piece down a little bit. Yeah, I think maybe it was a little too big. I kind of like that better. So I'm just going to start with this, and we'll put a little bit of glue. And then I will cut this down once we get it on here. So I'm going to decide how big I want the border to be and kind of set this on there. It looks like it's maybe, I don't know, not quite 1/4 of an inch. I don't think it's quite 3/8. 3/8 would be more than 1/4 of an inch. I don't know. A little border there. Whatever you think works. All right, and then I'm going to cut this down, and then we'll round the corners of this so that it all matches. And did I not put that on there straight? Not sure if that looked straight. All right. I like this as the sort of focal point. And you could certainly, cut out anything on any of these pages to go on the front to make yourself a nice cover. Whoops, I missed one. Okay. And I like how it has the Easter song down at the bottom there. I think that looks great. Okay. Now I'm just gonna eyeball where I think I want it to be. And we'll go ahead and place that down. This is starting to come together. And while that's drying, I'm just gonna fold my seed pack here, and just to make it easier for me, I think I am going to use my scoreboard. So to fold it, I'm just going to fold sort of right on this line here, and then on each of the flaps going around. So I'm just going to line them up as best I can on my scoreboard here, and then see if I can make a nice score line. Let's see, this will be a little bit harder if it's down further, but there we go. Okay. And then to make this a seed pack, I'm going to keep the top open and try and decide how. Well, obviously I didn't get this line right because it's not folding very well. Let me see if I can find my bone folder. There we go. I think that's better. A little bit. So you can either hide these inside of the flap or the outside of the flap. I think a lot of times when you see seed packs, I'm not sure that's the most way you see them, but I think sometimes you see them with the flaps on the outside. And I'm going to leave the top open as a flap you can open and close so that you can get in there. Now you could also do this like kind of like an envelope if you wanted to. You could glue both sides in like that and keep this as your, top flap if you wanted to do that. But I think I'm going to do it as a seed pack, and I do think I am going to do it kind of like with the flaps on the outside. I just think that's fun, and I like the kind of the yellow color that's on the outside of the flaps too. I think that's kind of neat. Okay, and I think I may have wanted to be sure I kept the glue up towards the edge since I don't think it goes all the way over. So I may have to just watch that I didn't glue the whole thing together here. I'm just going to hold that carefully until this all comes together. And we'll just, yeah, I think it's doing okay. Okay, whoops, and you know what I did? I should have done the other one open because now I've got it upside down. So you should pay attention to the flap you want to keep open, but that's okay. We'll just leave the bottom flap open. That'll make it fun. So we'll leave that like that. And then let's see, now I have this card that we cut off, and I think I'm just gonna round the other edges to kind of make it a little small card. And actually this might work perfectly for our front. So I was trying to go through what I wanted to keep in the pockets. So I have this large tag here, which I wanted to back with some coffee dyed paper that I'm going to put up here. I have a small tag that's going to go in this one, and then I have two more pockets here. So I have the large one on the side here, oops, that can fit a whole card that we note card that we put in. But I'm going to take that out for just a second. And then I have this small one here that I forgot about that I would like to put something in too. So that works perfectly in there. So those will be my two for there. And then I don't think, I have some other cards that I could put in here. But I was thinking that it might be fun to add maybe another, maybe just a little, actually this one matches very nicely. Actually, this might be fun to kind of do like this to make it a little tuck spot. So if I was going to cut it apart and use it as a tuck spot, but I think we can keep it together and use it as a tuck spot on both sides. So to do that, I'm just going to glue down the middle and the bottom sides here, because we want the top and the open side there to stay open so that you could, slide something in there. So let's do this. And that'll be fun right there for when we're opening up our pages. I like that. Okay, and then, and we have this card too. So actually, it looks like I'll have plenty of room to put some of these cards in here or I could save one of my cards for putting it in the tuck spot over here. Lots of options, lots of options. All right, we're gonna let that dry a little bit. I'm gonna go back these tags so that they're ready to go. And then I think we're almost finished with our Easter folio. All right, I went ahead and sewed my tags up and added some fabric. I picked out some, I have these fabric swatches, and I found a couple that kind of matched the colors that I had going on. So I added those. And let's see. Oh, and I wanted to, I think I was going to take one of these. I found this like kind of cheesecloth type material, and I thought it would be fun to add it to this. Just as a little piece of ephemera. I was just going to glue it together, but I thought, you know, this could use a little something extra. So that's what we're going to do. And of course, I think my blade is getting a little dull because it didn't cut that very good. Might have to trade that out soon. Okay, so I thought it would be fun to kind of add this on here to the front and back and kind of give this a little extra texture. So to do that, I'm just gonna add some glue and enough in the middle to kind of hold it down. I'm just gonna be generous around the outside for sure. And then we'll see about trying to put some in here. There we go. And then I will add some more glue to the one I'm going to put on top. And of course, we'll need to be sure that I'm doing it right side up, since obviously I seem to be getting things upside down today. Okay. And then I'm gonna line these two up as best as I can. And that just adds a little something there. Pull out a couple of those. There. I kind of like that. All right, now I think we're pretty close to filling this thing up. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really anything else I was thinking about doing. I could use my washi tape strips here for something, but I don't know what that might be. I think I'm going to round the corners. Since I have this rounded, I think I'm going to try to round the corners of my of the whole booklet. So let's see if I can make this happen. I'm just gonna start with the cover here. Oops, my insides are falling out. Let's see. Now, because I have my pocket already glued down in there, this might be a little harder than I think. So you know what? Let me try. Now, this is going to probably be a different size corner, but I'm going to see if it's going to work here. I have this tab punch board that also has a corner rounder on it, and it does let me get things in a little bit better. Yeah, I think that'll work nicely. And then what I'm also going to do then is for each outer page, I'm going to round these two corners. Now, I think probably most of them I can do with this. We'll start at the top corner. Let's see if I can get this one in. Yeah, that seemed to work pretty good. And then we'll come back the other way for the rest of the pages. Now, of course, you could do this before you start putting everything together. I didn't think of it until now, so, that's when it happens for me. Oops. Yeah, that worked okay. Yeah. I like that better. Now they, the corners kind of match what I have going on the front there. All right. So now, let me put that back. And let's go ahead and start putting this together. The only piece that I didn't do anything with was this one. But I think I may just leave this as like a little note card that you could write, you know, you could write something in if you wanted to. So I think I'm going to leave that one open. And then my one that I have here, this might be fun to add to a page actually, kind of like maybe adding it here. Yeah, I think I might do that. So I'm just going to, it's going to obviously overlap some of my picture on this side, but that's okay. Oops. Just going to put a little glue on that side. You see I flipped it towards me so that I can do that. And I'm going to keep it up a little bit higher so that it doesn't run into my pocket down here. But this will be my little pull tab there. All right. So while that kind of dries, we'll let that go for a minute. And I was thinking I would put my large tag in the back here, my small tag in the front. And I went ahead and just cut some of this same purple as the front there. I thought I would just add this in for a nice swatch of color. And then this one sneaks in here. And I didn't add anything to this one yet. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I probably should add something so that you can know that you should pull it out of there. So maybe I'll wait on that one. And then this one, oops, we'll put in there. So this is a separate pocket than the one we made here. So we have lots of pockets over there. And then of course I have my other pockets here. So I'll put my lamb one in here since these two pictures match. I'll put that one over here. And I could put one in here if I wanted to. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put my seed pack there. I know the word. And then, oh, you know what? I was thinking it might be fun to add a pocket to the back. So I have this one piece of card left over that I haven't really done anything with. And so I thought it would be fun to put a pocket right there for even more storage. So I'm going to grab my ruler real quick so that I can kind of figure out how big we want it to be. So I think 4 1/4 is going to have to be the widest we could do it. Yeah. And then usually what I like to do when I'm making my own pocket is I'll add a 1/2 inch to each side and then also to the bottom. So a 1/2 inch, we'd add 1 total inch. So if I want my pocket to be 4 1/4, I'm going to cut my paper down to 5 1/4. And then I have to see how long I want it to be. But let's start with the 5 1/4 first. So this is the width of the pocket plus the flaps, so that's why I have that on there. And then I'm really not going to measure the top. Obviously I don't want it to go above, you know, this graphic there, but I think what I can do is if I just keep it kind of to the top of the basket, actually maybe a little bit further. So let me do it this way. Usually I like my pockets at about 3 or 3.5 inches. So I'm going to add 1 more 1/2 inch to 3.5. So we're cutting it at 4 inches because I'm going to fold it down a 1/2 inch. So if I have that down here, I think that might work out well. Let's give it a go. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard one more time and try and find my scoring tool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it at a 1/2 inch on each side. So I can just do a 1/2 inch here, but then over here to come back a 1/2 inch, I have to be at 4 3/4 inches. And then I'm going to turn it so I'm scoring the bottom at a 1/2 inch. So, and then to make all the folding easy, whoops, I'm going to cut off these corners at a little angle there. And then these should fold right up for me. And we'll just verify that we have the right size before we do any gluing. Yeah, that works good. And then maybe we'll add a nice big thumb punch in the middle somewhere, approximately. Yeah. I like it. All right, so then to glue this down, we're just going to glue all the flaps and hold that down. Okay, while I was waiting for my pocket to dry, I went ahead and added some fabric to our little small tag that we made out of our postcard or our note card. And this should fit in there nicely, just like that. And then you have a little bit sticking out, which I think is fun. All right, and then I added that little note card right into the front here. And now we can figure out how much sorry ribbon we need on the outside to tie this up. And you could, you know, wrap it around if you want, or whatever you'd want to do there. Let's see. Yeah, definitely way too big. But I never want to not have enough. So, all right, so I'm just going to cut this about here and here. We'll save those for something else. And then we have a nice little tie on here. And that's just enough. All right. I like it. Let's just tie it up one more time here. Keep it all together. And there you have it. A little Easter fold-out folio. And that's it. That's our Easter fold-out, flip-out folio with an Easter freebie that I have for you all. And if you'd like to grab that freebie, don't forget you can go to madpapercrush.com/restored. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope you had fun with this little fun Easter project, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.